If your brain refuses to shut up at night, not once, not occasionally, but basically every damn evening, there's a reason for that. And it's not because you're bad at relaxing, addicted to your phone, or wired wrong. And yeah, if you want the full reset that actually fixes this instead of just managing it, I broke the whole thing down step by step in the guide. But even without that, this explanation alone usually makes people stop blaming themselves, because what's happening here isn't a flaw, it's a pattern your nervous system learned. Here's the part most people never hear: your brain doesn't turn off at night because it doesn't work on a clock, it works on perceived safety. Sleep isn't something the brain does because it's time, sleep is something the brain allows when it decides nothing urgent needs monitoring. And if your brain keeps running at night, it's because somewhere, on a very basic level, your system doesn't believe the day is actually over. During the day, you're in problem-solving mode, you're making decisions, tracking responsibilities, reacting to messages, thinking ahead, holding things together. Even when you're not stressed in an obvious way, you're still managing, and your nervous system doesn't separate productive stress from danger stress. To it, pressure is pressure, so it stays on, slightly alert, slightly tense, slightly ready. Now here's where things go sideways. Most people don't properly close that state before bed. They stop working, but they don't complete the stress response, they just carry it into the night. So when you finally lie down and everything gets quiet, your brain doesn't read that as peace, it reads it as exposure. No noise, no movement, no distractions, just you and everything your system has been holding back all day. That's why thoughts explode the moment your head hits the pillow, not because you suddenly became an overthinker, but because your brain finally has the space to unload. Tasks you forgot, conversations you replay, problems you didn't solve, fears you pushed aside. The brain is basically saying, cool, now that we're not busy, we need to deal with all this. And the cruel irony is, the harder you try to force your brain to stop, the more it proves it won't, because control is the same mode it's been stuck in all day. You're trying to shut down a system using the exact energy that's keeping it awake. This is also why scrolling, videos, podcasts, or background noise help, not because they relax you, but because they give your brain something predictable to lock onto so it doesn't have to skin internally. That's not rest, that's regulation through distraction. And yeah, it works short-term, but long-term, it teaches your system a bad lesson. Silence is unsafe. We only power down if something external is managing the environment. I talk about this a lot in the guide, because it's one of the biggest hidden reasons people feel wired at night. Another thing that matters here is timing. Late evening is when your nervous system naturally tries to shift from sympathetic, do, solve, survive, into parasympathetic, rest, digest, recover. If that transition gets blocked, by screens, by unfinished stress, by constant mental stimulation, your brain never gets the signal to stand down, so it keeps running, not because it wants to, but because it doesn't know it's allowed to stop. This is why advice like, just meditate, clear your mind, or think positive thoughts, usually fails. You're not dealing with thoughts as the root problem. Thoughts are the symptom. The root problem is a system that never learned how to switch modes. And here's the part that usually hits people hard. A brain that won't shut off at night is often a brain that's been too responsible during the day. You're good at pushing through, good at functioning, good at ignoring your own signals, so your nervous system learned it has to keep track of everything for you, because if it doesn't, nothing else will. Over time, that creates hypervigilance, not panic, not anxiety attacks, just constant low-level monitoring. And when that's your baseline, night becomes the loudest time of day, because there's nothing left to drown it out. Sleep supplements don't fix this, melatonin doesn't fix this, magnesium might help a little, but it doesn't retrain the system. Even perfect sleep hygiene won't solve it if the underlying state doesn't change, because again, your brain doesn't shut off because the lights are off, it shuts off because the threat assessment says, we're safe enough. This is why the solution isn't, try harder to relax. The solution is teaching your nervous system how to complete the day, to actually discharge stress before bed instead of carrying it horizontally into sleep. That's a big part of what the guide walks through, not tricks, not hacks, but the order of operations your body actually understands. When that process starts working, something weird happens. Your thoughts don't disappear, but they lose urgency. They stop demanding attention. You can notice them without chasing them. Your body gets heavier instead of tighter, and sleep stops feeling like something you have to wrestle into happening. People often tell me the strangest part is how boring their brain gets once the system is regulated, and they mean that in the best way. No racing, no spiraling, just quiet, the kind of quiet you forgot existed. So if your brain won't shut off at night, don't ask, what's wrong with me? Ask, what has my system been carrying that it hasn't been allowed to put down? Because that's where the answer always is. And yes, if you want the full framework for how to retrain that shutdown response, how to stop needing distraction, How to actually feel done at the end of the day, that's exactly what the guide is built for. I mention it again because most people spend years fighting their brain instead of fixing the conditions that keep it awake. Your brain isn't broken, it's just loyal to a job it never got to clock out from. Once you teach it how to do that, night finally becomes night again.